edition. It's good to see you, and it's good to be with the Independents again, live on YouTube, for our weekly interview. Every week, we try to bring the best of independent watchmaking. Today is no exception, as we have Jacky Epitaux from RUDIS SYLVA, one of the most relevant artisan watchmakers of our time. And yes, we should have both available for a nice chat about the world of independent horology. Our editor, Johnny McElleron from Ireland, should be with us. Hi, Johnny, how are you?
There we go. That a little bit better. How are you, Pietro?
Very well, Johnny. I'm really excited. Today we have a friend and somebody that we've been acquainted for a long time, but who's at the head of a watchmaker that is a bit of a mystery for most, because very low quantities produced, a very how can I say, mysterious name to the watchmaker itself, and a lot of details to unveil today. Jacky Epitaux is with us, the founder and the owner of RUDIS SYLVA. Nice to see you, Jacky. How are you?
Hello, Pietro. I'm okay. I'm fine. Living in Switzerland, 12 kilometers from La Chaux-de-Fonds, the capital of the watch industry, with a fantastic museum too. So I'm very pleased to be with you today.
You know everything about watchmaking, Jacky. You've been in this world for a long time, but you decided to do things slightly different from what can be normally found in the industry. How and why you had the idea to do what you do today?
Basically, I was working in different price bracket of the Swiss industry. I was CEO of Rodolphe, for example. I used to work for Zenith and different other brands. And by the end, as long as I am living and as long as I was born in the roots of the watch industry, I decided to go on myself and to build up a brand. And I took the name of my village because it used to be a Latin name, Rudis, from Mr. Rudin, who was cutting the trees and established himself in our region next to La Chaux-de-Fonds around 1400. So Rudis from Mr. Jean Rudin, and Sylva, that means forest in Latin language. So I took that name because due to the fact of the establishment of people from the lakeside to the mountain where we live, 1,000 meter high, and the long winter we had in the past. Now it's not snow as we had before. The farmers try to find jobs during the long winters, and they're starting around 1700, 1750. The farmers started to produce Swiss watches. So I took the name of my village to name the brand, and I asked all my friends around me who are producing things for prestigious Swiss brands to make the best they can do and to put it in a watch. The first RUDIS SYLVA RS05 introduced in a Basel Fair in 2009. That's right.
And we'll get to the details of the collection, Johnny. We're putting things in context. La Chaux-de-Fonds means the Watch Valley. The Watch Valley is a place that is fairly relevant for the production of quality watchmaking worldwide.
Without a doubt. And I just loved watching the little intro video, the footage of Les Bois, the trees, and the symbolism being repeated on the crown of the watches, because that's very symbolic of what RUDIS SYLVA is all about. I think it's as Jacky says, it's from his village, his home village, and there's this lovely, I think, organic ambience or ethos that runs with RUDIS SYLVA, as well as being extraordinarily technical. Because really, what RUDIS SYLVA, if you mention RUDIS SYLVA, there's one thing that the company stands out for, and that is the harmonious oscillator that has become a signature of the brand, and it has taken the regulating organ and kind of turned it on its head, and a completely new philosophy, and one that has been patented by Jacky. Yeah.
We need to go into those details, definitely. I would like to ask Jacky, you said a brand, you called RUDIS SYLVA a brand, but how many pieces are you producing per year? And at the level of details that we will unveil now, in terms of both mechanical exception and level of finishing, it's really a fine line between artisan watchmaking and calling your operations a brand.
Yes, we don't produce a lot of watches until the last Watches Wonders show. I mean, this year's show. We have sold about 70 to 80 pieces altogether since 2010, and we are producing roughly 10 to 15 pieces a year. Now we are going to extend a little bit the production with the new RS23 models. And yeah, sorry, we have two focus. One focus is on the technology of the movement, and we accompany. We have on the other side, the second focus is really the finishing of the watches with all details, guilloche, hand engraving, beveling, enamel, etc.
Starting from the mechanical side, and thank you for the assist, because Johnny as well, thank you for already mentioning the obviously harmonious oscillator that has been defined by some specialized press as the most important innovation after the tourbillon. So we're talking about really heavy and how can I say a technologically intense level of innovation. Johnny, what's your take on the harmonious oscillator? And then we're going to ask Jacky exactly how the technology works.
Well, we're looking just there at the RS23, which has the latest interpretation, the latest realization of the harmonious oscillator. It's groundbreaking, to be quite straightforward about it. There's no other word for it, and but it has evolved over the years, and it's technically it is it's kind of bewildering, because if you're so used to seeing either the balance and escapement or the tourbillon, for example, that's all we really think of as being possible. Because again, and I think that we are seeing it in the last 10 years or so, where some of the fundamentals of traditional watchmaking are being reinterpreted by people like Agénor, by people like Stephen McDonald. Well, I think what Jacky has done with Agénor being responsible, of course, for the reimagining of the chronograph, with Stephen McDonald also working with the chronograph and the perpetual calendar. And I think what Jacky and RUDIS SYLVA have done with the harmonious oscillator is on a par with that, because they reimagined how something can be done. And the latest interpretation of that is it's quite. We saw it, Pietro, in March, April, and it's
yeah. I'm both totally fascinated by the first interpretation, where Jacky will now explain the differences. But what the harmonious oscillator does, how did you conceive it, Jacky? What does the harmonious oscillator do, and why is it so groundbreaking and important from the horological perspective?
Alors, one thing is important that new brands or independent brands, usually they buy a movement and they customize it. We decided from the beginning to design all our components, screws, bridges, etc. So, except it's 7 pieces bought to different suppliers, we have produced our own movement. And by chance, it was not really the idea we had. By chance, we made an invention. And when we introduced this invention at Basel Fair 2009,
so it wasn't planned. You weren't planning to introduce the harmonious oscillator. It happened in your hands.
Alors, basically, we would do something complicated, complication, but not really an harmonious oscillator. And by chance and by some research, step by step, we discover that this kind of device is an invention mentioned by the master watchmaker, as important as Breguet tourbillon invention in 1801. So, as you can see on this design, we decided to teeth the balance. And the watchmakers, if they see the balance teethed and also connected to each other with only one gear wheels, they will say it cannot function. And when we explain that in the two balance, the air springs are mounted in opposite side, they will immediately understand that when one air spring is closing, the one is opening. So it means instead of having a kind of resistance on the main balance wheel, we have a power, and not a resistance, but a power due to the spiral opening one after the other, one next to the other.
So the two balance wheels touch each other and are connected and work in unison.
They are connected together, exactly. So we decided to teeth the balance, and this was really the main step to discover that. And what you can reach with this kind of technology, that if it's for example, like the invention of Breguet, the tourbillon is when you put the watch in vertical, you gain time during the first 30 seconds. And after 30 seconds, the escapement has to come back to 0. So it's losing the time you have gained in the 31st seconds. So with the harmonious oscillator, you have one balance and air spring who is gaining time, and in opposite side, the other one is losing time. And as long as they are connected together, not like double or triple tourbillon who are not talking to each other, but these are talking to each other because they are connected together. So when one balance and air spring is, for example, gaining 5 seconds, the other one is losing in the same time exactly 5 seconds. So it's always a value of 0 influence of gravity.
So it's always synchronized in a way. And what is the advantage of having two balance wheels connected rather than just having one balance wheel as you would have on a standard movement?
Alors, if you have one balance wheel, you have a tourbillon. Eh? So it means if it's turning in a cage, you need 1 full minute in vertical position to balance the effect of gravity. With the two balance, and as long as they are talking to each other, one is making the positive value and the other one is making the negative value exactly the same time. So plus 7 and the other one -7, plus 10 -10. So the regulation is perfect, and in vertical position there is no more influence of gravity. You don't need to be 1 full minute in vertical position like
a tourbillon. Yeah, which is why you decided from the first editions of the RS5 or the RS10, the RS16, where the two balances were also rotating on themselves, on their axis. You decided to strip it down to this version with the RS23, where there's no rotation whatsoever. You just show in the RS23, you just show the two balances working with each other.
Exactly. And on the other side, we decided also to avoid to cover the connection with the teeth. So on the RS23, you can see the connected teeth. On the other models, you couldn't see it because the bridge was covering it.
Yeah.
And for example, the RS23, instead of having during 1 minute +1, +2, +3, +4, etc., this one has, for example, +5 and -5 all the time.
Yeah. And I'm not, as you know, Jacky, I'm a passionate watch lover. I never define myself as an expert, of course, but I like to draw some comparison. We're talking about the tourbillon, advantages and disadvantages. In terms of having two balance wheels, obviously a direct comparison could be the resonance. What is the advantage compared to a resonance system? Would it be the fact that the two balance wheels being already connected, basically they don't need no syncing because they are already in sync by definition?
Alors the resonance watches, they have absolutely no influence on the gravity. When we talk about the harmonious oscillator, we compare it to the best tourbillon. I mean, fighting against gravity.
No, of course. In terms of accuracy, I should have specified. In terms of the overall accuracy you're gonna achieve, which may be with a tourbillon, maybe with a resonance, maybe with an harmonious oscillator, and there's no how can I say, a line that we can trace and comparison we can make with in that sense.
Alors, in terms of precision, we fight against gravity, so it means in vertical it's a better precision. But if you consider the resonance to approach the two balance, it's a physical effect one to each other to exchange some power. But with our system, it's not a question of exchanging power. It's just a question of talking to each other and having a negative and a positive value exactly in the same time.
They balance each other. Johnny, this is pioneering research and development at a very, very tiny scale, artisan scale. At the time, Johnny, when we always say, now independent watchmaking is known, is developed, and the knowledge has grown big time. But Jacky was developing this system at the end of the first 10 years of the year 2000, where only how can I say, bright watchmakers such as Urwerk at the time, such as Vienne Alter, such as Sven Andersen, and few more. MBNF, credit is due obviously to MBNF in those days. These were the pioneering, really, independent watchmakers.
Sure, people like Thomas Prescher and like that as well, who were taking traditional watchmaking and putting a new twist on it. And most of those names that we've mentioned, they've either reimagined the time display or perhaps looked at what can be done with the tourbillon, with putting it on a double axis, triple axis, as you mentioned, resonance. But this, I think, Pietro, that the harmonious oscillator has a more actually practical use, in that it is, because it is mechanically connected and it is not affected by gravity, it is not affected by any shock or anything that would affect resonance or a tourbillon, that it is the accuracy. I think it is a profound innovation, and one that I honestly don't think that RUDIS SYLVA get enough praise for, get enough recognition for, if you like. And I think those who have discovered it, they go, wow, this is unbelievable stuff. But not enough people, for my mind, are aware of it, And so for me, it's always a highlight of the day whenever we're traveling around visiting all the different watchmakers and watch companies to to get to sit down with Jacky and to see what the latest innovations are, and just to look at the harmonious oscillator at work with the hairsprings going, as Jacky says, in beating intermittently between each other. It's amazing stuff. Yeah, I'm a fan. And it's not just the technology as well, because we were also talking about the finishing as well, and the different aspects that.
No, of course, that's so important. I was oh, I lost the plot now. I had a question ready for Jacky, but I have just lost it.
I've ruined it by putting up that graphic, have I? So
no,
I'm sorry, Pietro.
No, the finishing was the second big chapter I wanted to analyze with Jacky. I wanted to say, Jacky, can share with you, if you're watching this, we're live with Jacky Epitaux, the founder and owner of RUDIS SYLVA, the artisan watchmaker based in the Watch Valley. We can share some articles that came out on the New York Times and in different publications where the harmonious oscillator is put a little bit into context. And yes, Jacky, the last question I have about the harmonious oscillator: did you realize when you completed the work, the mechanical work, what you had in your hands and the impact that this could have had?
But in the beginning, no, not at all. Because when we teeth the balance, it was really a discover. And we in the beginning, we put the two balance very deep to each other. Then we took them out a little bit just to be in connection, just to talk to each other without touching, almost without touching. And when we was making the regulation and the balance of the regulation of the two balance and the alternas, we had, for example, 21,500 on one side, and on the other side it was 21,700. So it was balancing immediately by itself. So it was a surprise to us also. So as you probably can notice it, that it's also impossible for us to use a machine, an electronic machine like a Vichy, to control the accuracy of the watch, because the Vichy is listening to the escapement. So as long as you have a lot of small noise like that, the Vichy is disturbed. So all the check we are making before delivering the watches is made by the atomic clock, and on different position during 10 days, getting down with the power reserve on each position. And we discover a lot of advantages, and even in the regulation, during the many days, like the last collection we launched, we tested during right after the fair. Our watchmaker, a talented watchmaker, went with his bike in holiday, and during 2 weeks he was checking every evening the accuracy of the watch. So some days it was a little bit more, some days a little bit less, but just winding the watch after 72 hours, just winding it, and after 2 weeks, do you know how many seconds the difference we had? 1 second.
Oh, wow.
It get up, get down, get up, but not more than 15 seconds. But by the end, after 2 weeks, just winding the watch when it needs to be widened, because it's an hand-winding watch, we had only 1 second difference after 2 weeks with the mountain bike.
And it's on a mountain bike, my goodness. Yeah. And that's Mikko Rassinen then, yes?
Sorry?
The watchmaker Mikko Rassinen? Is it
it was a guy who has developed that thing, but we have another watchmaker who is working part-time in a Cercle des Horlogers. He's an independent watch producer. He's a good friend of mine for a long time, because he was playing also in the Swiss football national team. I saw him playing when they opened the Euro in Wembley. He was playing against McNamaran in Wembley. So he's now a watchmaker, and a very good watchmaker.
Wow.
Great
He's
story.
our master watchmaker at the moment. Yeah.
Who knew that? Who knew that? The things that you learn, Pietro, when we're talking to these watchmakers, and it's
And there is a this element, Johnny, of genuinity when you think about people like Stephen McDonald you were mentioning before. In the case of what Rudi Silva has done, they have done something potentially revolutionary in watchmaking terms. But instead of bragging about, they decided to put all their efforts, instead of the marketing, onto the finishing of their watches. So to make sure that this incredible machine that is the harmonious oscillator was surrounded by possibly the best finishing that you can find on the industry. So this is the RS23. Maybe we should go more on the RS05 to start the journey on the finishing.
Sure.
And the infographic you showed before, Johnny, was absolutely perfect, because in a snapshot we can show exactly what we are talking about here. Jacky, I have to say,
we'll go back to that graphic, and Jacky can maybe talk us through it and explain what we're because this is all the different haute horlogerie finishing and innovation that goes into the Rudi Silva.
Yes, if you go on our website or Instagram, etc., you can see all the details of the finishing, and all around us. I mean, the next door of our office, we have friends who are producing and making finishing for very prestigious brands, and they are friends of mine. And I went to them and I said, okay, now we have a technology, but we have to magnify this technology with your talent. So, for example, the bottom of the piece is guilloché, hand guilloché, and Mr. George Broadbeck, who was awarded 2 weeks ago in the Swiss Watch Museum in La Chaux-de-Fonds as a Gaia Prize, Prix Gaia. I asked him, George Broadbeck, can you do the best you can do for my watch? And he did a pyramid hand guilloché, extremely difficult to make it.
Beautiful.
Then after that, we had the bridge with turning in the cage. It's in titanium with 28 inward corners in titanium. So if you make a round corner, if you bevel a round corner, you need 2 minutes. But if you make it pure, like an inward corner on the top to the bottom, you need 10 times more, so 20 minutes. And in the new bridge we have, not that one particularly, but the new one, on the new bridge we have 28 inward corners, not on that watch either, the RS16, for example, or RS12. We have 28 inward corners exactly on that one. So the bridge turning with this kind of bird is in titanium, and it costs a lot of money just to bevel it. And the other bridge has also 12 inward corners, but this is in brass. So 28 plus 12 is 40 inward corners beveled by hands. A lot of work, a lot of hours, a lot of cost. But it's 10 times more job to make an inward corners than a round corner. So that's why we decided to produce all the details as high as possible. And on the other side, on the top of the watch, as you can see here, the barrels are sunshine, the arms of the barrel are circle, the main plate is line, the engraving are hand engraved. If you engrave by a machine, you go straight in the letter, but if you engrave by hand, you get on the side on the letter, so the reflection, the light is much more flashing. So every details, we insist on every details, and we deliver the harmonious oscillator with a fantastic finishing too.
It's amazing, isn't it, just to see the level of detail that goes into the each piece, and it's no wonder that production is what you say between 9 or 10 pieces per year, because that is the definition of labor intensive work. That's Matt. Thank you very much for your comment there, for working on watches while listening about watches, especially in this company with Jacky Epitaux explaining the incredible story of the harmonious oscillator that is the signature of the RUDIS SYLVA brand. So
so we should
amazing to look at.
We should maybe mention, there are two propositions at the moment. Although the mechanical device, the harmonious oscillator, is present throughout all the collections that RUDIS SYLVA is currently proposing, the level of finishing can vary. Jacky, after you propose the top finishing, I would say, Johnny, standard setting kind of level of finishing that we see in these pieces. With the RS23, also to give the possibility for the pieces to be slightly more affordable, you've decided to stream down a little bit the some of the details that are offered, for example, on the RS5, RS10, RS16. So what are the differences on the RS23 that we're seeing here that make the price of this piece a little bit more palatable than its predecessors?
Alors, first of all, not in terms of finishing, but in technology, instead of having the two balance turning in a cage in 1 minute, the two balance are fixed, but they give you the same accuracy as the tourbillon cage one. On the other side,
and they can both be defined as harmonious oscillators.
But it's harmonious oscillator because the patent is based on the teeth balance and inversed air springs.
Spring,
It's a very simple patent because nobody did the teeth balance in the before. So as long as we have a teeth balance, and as long as the spring are mounted in opposite side, it belongs to the same patent, and this patent is named harmonious oscillator.
And in terms of the finishing,
sorry.
In terms of the finishing, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, in terms of finishing, we decrease not the quality, but we decrease the number of inward corners. For example, the RS12 and 16, we had 14 inward corners, and now we have 3 inward corners only, but we still have inward corners. Still, we have engraving by hands. We don't have enamel on that anymore, but on the previous model, on the top models, we have enamel on the case back, and we have reduced the number of components inside, about 35 to 40 components, less than in the tourbillon version. So we decrease a little bit, not the quality, because the quality is similar, but the numbers and the numbers of finishing. And if you can see behind the two balance, instead of having this pyramid, Hans Guillochet, we call it, you can see that it's flaky. We call it flaky. It's made, it's about Guillochet also, but you make it on another machine. We call it tour à flanquer, and the pyramid we have on the other models, it's on a Guillochet's ligne droite, straight line in English.
No,
and
the main.
Sorry, by the end, you have the same accuracy than on the other models. Yeah.
Very good. And
can we
remind the prices, the price range for RUDIS SYLVA at the moment on the previous collections and the RS23?
Alors, the basic square models with a big date was, but now it's sold out. We have one model in production but sold. It was not that one, but the RS05. Yeah, exactly that one. It was 280. You have on the right side, you have a big date. Then the RS10, the round with a bezel, You have a bezel on it, and a plain dial is 2,500. 200. Sorry. 250,000. Sorry.
Yeah.
200. The other one 280,000. The square one. This one 250,000.
Yeah.
And,
So the historical collections, they go from 200 to 300,000.
Exactly. From
And,
200 to 250. And
Yeah.
if you have the titanium model, you have it in 200,000 too.
Yeah. And with the RS23, we are on a different price range.
It's in gold, it's 90,000, and in titanium, it's 80,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which is open, obviously some good channels for those that are considering, appreciating and enjoying and owning one of these harmonious oscillators that definitely have made some literature in watchmaking already. I know that it's a slow pace when you develop projects like this, Jacky. But one question that people would appreciate an answer on is what is happening next? Are you going to develop the RS23 further? Are you redeveloping one of the previous collections, or there is something new in the pipeline?
We have many opportunities to develop the brand then with this harmonious oscillator. We can make it smaller, bigger, square, etc. The two collections we launch this year in RS23 are limited edition, 8 pieces each, 8 in gold and 8 in titanium. During the next exhibition, we probably will focus on that model because it was introduced as a prototype last fair. So it will last one more year. And we will have a different color, and maybe a power reserve can be introduced also on that hand-winding watch. It's already developed, so we just have to produce the components. But basically, we will keep going during the next 12 months, about 12 months with that models delivered. That would be delivered next month.
Yeah, I know you're working on a piece for us as well, so we can't wait to see it, and we can't wait to be able to film it and to take some photo shooting before we deliver to obviously the customer that is waiting for the piece. And soon it will be on our website, on the listing of the website. There are two versions available then for now, Jacky, and as you said, for 1 year at least, these will be the two versions that will be basically available there to order.
Yeah.
And so does this mean also that the RS16 it continues as well? So it's the brand is not just working on the RS23.
No, we still keep going with the same models. With different prestigious brands you have in Switzerland, they still produce the same model since they started.
Sure.
So for us, it doesn't disappear, excepting the square one, because on the square one we had a kind of very unique and limited edition on the first one. It was the first product, and we have it's quite different tendency today with the round one, etc. So we will probably make another square one in the future too, because we have main plate in square like you have shown before. This is also an existing watch, but this watch has to be adapted maybe to the up-to-date market. And anyway, it's a lot of things to do. But we are not a brand who is going to produce every 6 months new things. When you buy a RUDIS SYLVA, you buy a technology with the harmonious oscillator, the highest level of the harmonious oscillator, an invention as important as Breguet Tourbillon, as different master watchmakers said. And on the other side, you are buying the talent of the guillocheur was awarded 2 weeks ago in the Museum of La Chaux-de-Fonds. You are buying the inward corners of the beveler. You are buying enamel performances, etc. So you buy finishing and you buy technology, and you buy a little bit history of our region.
For sure. And then there is also the métier d'art versions as well, with the, for example, the Hymne d'Orient, which is GPHG nominated, I believe.
It's a masterpiece.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It's just absolutely spectacular. So it is, with the artisanal handcrafting of what I think we're looking at. Aventurine, we're looking at galvanized, galvanic, the water which is flowing out of the vase. Would you like to tell us a story about it? What actually is the Hymne d'Orient? What is it depicting?
Alors, I have a good friend of mine who is also making very particular watch for different prestigious companies. I will not name it, but you can recognize some watches very successful, located next to my village. And he proposed to me in 2017 he had some time to produce something very exclusive for RUDIS SYLVA, because he was loving our brand and the way we are making the things. So step by step, he produced the fish, the carp koi, then the lotus, then the pot with the water, then the moon, etc. And last year, as long as we was attending the Watches on Water show, we said, okay, let's finish and terminate this watch. And we show it during the fair on the side, not in the window, because it's a lot of work, all made in wood, in gold, sorry, not in wood, all made in gold. The moon is in gold. The moon is exactly similar than you can see it in the sky. So it's a very artistic performance, very high artistic performance on that model, and it's unique. And a journalist last week was a little bit surprised that we decided to make a unique piece before having sold it. So we decided not to sell it yet, because it's now going through the world with the Grand Prix de l'Horlogerie de Genève, because it has been selected in the Piece of Arts, and it went to Macau, Hong Kong, Kuala Lumpur, etc. So this piece will be sold when it's coming back, and it's unique. So it's really an exceptional work on that one.
I think it is a historically significant watch. I think that is a future museum piece, and it is an incredible work of art. So
when you think
so beautiful, it really is.
When you think that the level of the finishing can go any further and beyond what is already been done, then you see that, and you have to change your mind. But Jacky, I can't believe how quickly this has gone. Thank you very much for your time. I hope that our audience has enjoyed, and we totally appreciate you may not be able to watch these lives, recording lives. So feel free to send all your questions, comments you may have, because we are in daily contact, lucky for us, with Jacky, with RUDIS SYLVA. And I'm sure Jacky will be happy to answer any question you may have. Johnny, thank you for your time, your dedication, your passion, as always. And Jacky, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
My great pleasure too, and we are always open to any questions and to any further requests.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic look at the brand and the portfolio, how the RUDIS SYLVA has evolved since 2010, and here we are, as I say, on the brink of the Hymne d'Orient, going around the world with GPHG. Let's hope that there's an award at the end of that, because amazing insight into the brand. So thank
Thanks
you.
a lot.
Thank you for Pietro.
Thanks, everybody, and see you very soon with another
Thanks.
live and another artisan watchmaker. And we'll see you all very, very soon.
Okay.